This happened about 7 years ago. Before I tell you about that, you should know that our house was confirmed to be haunted. Many people, at different times and with different connections to our family, saw the same thing, a ghostly elderly woman. They believed she used to own the house and passed away in another country before her family took over the place. I grew up in a family where we all believed in the supernatural. We were used to experiencing strange and ghostly things. That night, we had more guests than usual, and there wasn't enough space in the spare bedroom. So I decided to give up my room and sleep in my old bed in my parents' room. The bedroom setup was a bit different from the usual. My parents' bed was in one corner, facing the opposite corner. Near the cabinets on the other side, there was a big mirror with wooden platforms for keeping various things like lotion, cologne, and jewelry. My bed was in the opposite corner, facing the other way, and I could clearly see the vanity mirror from there. One night, I woke up between 2 and 3 in the morning. I noticed a faint glow on the top platform of the mirror. At first, I was curious if it was just the reflection of some red light in the room. But as time passed, I could see the glow forming into the shapes of two creatures with distinct heads, bodies, and limbs. They soon started moving on the platform as if searching for something. At first, I thought it might be a trick of the red light from the fan, and I wasn't sure if they were real. But then I saw them grabbing onto the lower platform. They acted in a funny way, like they were arguing and playfully hitting each other. They kept moving around and getting lower and lower. By the time they reached the bottom platform, their lights became much dimmer. Eventually, they disappeared into a corner of the room, near my mom's watch case. The next morning, I checked the vanity mirror for any evidence, like a burn mark, to prove what I saw. But there was nothing. It was like nothing had happened at all. I still don't know for sure what I saw that night, so it remains a mystery for the rest of my life. When I was a kid, I lived in an old house from the 1800s in southern England. Even now, strange things still happen there. It all started when I was around 4 or 5 years old and realized things were getting weird. Whenever I went to sleep, I had the same dreams over and over. In the dream, I would start in my room at the top of the house and then go downstairs. You know that feeling when you think someone is watching you, and you want to turn around to check who is there. I always had that feeling while going downstairs, and whenever I did turn around, I would see different ghosts. The first, the ghost of this small Victorian child, wearing attire from a century I had never seen outside of this dream being so young, stood just outside my room in the corner. Down the first flight of stairs, then I would see this woman who stood with her back to me, dressed entirely in an old black, tattered dress. As I approached her, she slowly turned around, and I saw she had really wide eyes, and her smile would stretch across her entire face. The first two didn't hurt me, as they just screamed at me or would run into me. The final ghost was at the bottom of the second flight of stairs, by the door. In my dream, I would sit at the bottom of the stairs and wait. A scary figure would appear outside the glass of the door. The ghost would start hitting the door hard until it either swung open or broke off, depending on the night. This ghost looked like a very big and tall man. He was balding and around 50 years old, with rough hands. For some reason, he was the clearest and most vivid in my dream. Then, he would take out a knife and slowly push it into my belly. I could feel the pain as it cut into me, so I wanted to scream but no sound would come out. I tried to fight back by punching and kicking but I couldn't muster enough strength. As things got darker, my dream would spin like a whirlpool, and I'd feel like I was drowning until I woke up. I used to have the same bad dream every day for about 5 months. It was easy to remember them because they happened so often. As the years passed, my older brothers would share their own experiences with me when strange things happened in the house. One of my brothers, whose room was next to mine on the top floor, saw a ghost of a Victorian girl standing behind his friend when he looked through the crack in the door. But when he went into the room to talk to his friend, there was no one else there. My other brother had a similar experience. After taking a shower, he looked through the glass on the bathroom door and saw his friend standing near the stairs with a tall and broad man beside him. When he asked his friend about it, His friends said they were alone in the house because my brother had left about 10 to 15 minutes earlier. Also, my friend has heard sounds of a woman crying and laughing inside one of the bedrooms on the second floor of our house. I've realized that the ghosts I saw in my dreams were also seen by my family and friends when they were awake in the house. I now think that when I was younger, I might have been sleepwalking at night and seeing these spirits without fully realizing it. Sometimes, I would wake up not remembering anything or find myself back in bed without knowing how I got there. I used to sleepwalk a lot, and I also experienced sleep paralysis when I was a child until I was about 10 years old. It was all very spooky. Everyone in my family seems to be sensitive to witnessing paranormal things, and we've had many other strange experiences in our house, as it happens to me quite often. My great-grandmother lived with my family in our old house. We built an extra part of the house just for her, with her own kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom. When she passed away, we packed up her things, including her Bible and other books and trinkets. Since I was the oldest child still at home, I moved into that new part of the house. One day, about a month after she died, I was home alone. I had just come back from school and decided to watch TV in the family room. I got comfortable, turned on the TV, and started eating a bag of chips. After about an hour, I heard what seemed like a door slamming in the new addition of the house. My first thought was to check if my brother was home without me knowing, as he had a habit of slamming doors. I started walking down the hallway toward his room. But before I could reach his door, I noticed someone heading straight for my bedroom. It scared me a lot. I felt like there was a dangerous person in the house, and I knew it was up to me to stop them. I went into my brother's room and grabbed the first thing I could use as a weapon, which happened to be a plastic lightsaber. Slowly, I moved towards the addition. As I got closer, the air around me felt colder. It was the strangest feeling ever. I slowly entered my room and saw nothing. I had seen enough movies to know that the axe murderer was in one of two places, either under my bed or in my closet. I checked under the bed first. Nothing. I then flung open the closet doors, fully expecting an epic axe versus plastic lightsaber battle, but I was thankfully disappointed. I began to creep around the addition, looking for signs of a break-in. I found nothing along those lines. But what I did find creeps me the hell out to this day. On my great-grandmother's couch, the couch she sat on every day that I can remember, I found her open Bible, the same Bible that we had boxed up a few weeks earlier. It was as if she was trying to send me a message from beyond. Maybe she was watching over us, or maybe it was just a strange coincidence. Either way, finding her Bible like that made me feel comforted, as if she was still with us in some way. From then on, I kept her Bible safe, and it became a cherished family heirloom, reminding us of the special bond we had with our great-grandmother. And so, our family's spooky encounter turned into a beautiful reminder of the love and memories that would always stay with us.
The paranormal and strange have been a constant in my life since I was a child. My parents, aunts, uncles, and grandparents have all had some sort of experience with the paranormal. The property that I grew up on was sort of a hub, more like a bus stop. Spirits, ghosts, and other beings were always passing through. It was a high traffic area. Shadow people were seemingly stuck on a loop, rounding the corner that connected the kitchen and hallway in my home. Cold spots riddled the compound, which was the nickname for the family property, chattering in the woods where there were no humans. I was maybe 12 or 13 when it began to affect my life. It didn't start with me originally, it began with my twin and my cousin. At first I didn't believe them. I thought they were just trying to spook everyone, and that was. But the older I have gotten, the more light has been shed on the situation for me. This started before my time. All of those conversations on the porch or around the fire pit that we got chewed away from. Yeah, they didn't want to frighten us with the lighter wood woman or the bedtime rabbit. But I won't be focusing on those specific events. What I want to talk about is this specific thing that has been with us for the past 9 years. We just call it man. When I say don't name things, I truly mean it. Man didn't come with his name and a neon sign. He was gifted its name when my cousin and twin were stupid enough to not believe that names have power. Originally, I believed he was a shadow person there to distress us by appearing in our peripheral vision and vanishing when we turned to look to see who was there. But he quickly became much more than that. He started with stomping down the hallway, knocking on the doors and the walls. This went on for months. I would hear him on occasion and think nothing about it. There was nothing to worry about. It was my older brother playing tricks on me. But it quickly progressed. Have you ever been in the dark and it's just too dark? The void is hanging just a little too heavy in the sky and maybe it's a little hard to breathe. Ever get the feeling that the light isn't passing through it like it should? At my home, that's him lurking and watching. He's always there. He has a very specific feeling that I know I can't do justice by trying to describe. Perhaps I am the only one who feels it. No one else has ever described him to me the way that I just have attempted to describe him for you. I don't know if this is his way of rubbing me in the wrong direction or simply the work of my empathy. He feeds off the negative and toxic energies in my home. The past 3 years of my life have shown the worst of him. He made his unmistakable appearance in my life again, a permanent thing. I vividly remember one morning in my junior year of high school. My day started with knocking, banging, really, 3 sharp hits to my bedroom door. I woke up immediately, and seconds later I answered my door. I thought it was my mom. She was up doing her makeup for work. I asked her what she wanted, but she said that she hadn't knocked. I asked how she knew something was knocking, and she told me that she heard it too. At the time, I didn't think much about it. I just started my day a little earlier than I normally would have. Fast forward maybe an hour or so, and I'm ready for my ride to come pick me up. I remember being in the kitchen, but I don't remember what I'm doing. That's when the marrying started. There was just one problem though. None of our cats were inside, none of our dogs were inside either, which raises the question, what the heck was meowing from under my stepdad's recliner? Instinct kicked in, and I ran to my twins' bedroom. I tried to wake them up, but they just went back to sleep. So I sat there with my back to their door and waited. I waited for 6 o'clock to roll around, waited for them to wake up. Finally, when they did wake up, I explained the situation to them and they took it like a champ. That was until we were both back in the living room and kitchen. This time I was trying to cook a hot pocket and they asked had I told my ride that I might need them to come get me early. I said yes, and I also told them that my ride had asked, "Is it him?" That was the first time I had seen my twins' face drain of color. See, the thing is we don't actually talk about man in our house. We just don't. Another minute or so passes before they asked me what it sounded like, and again I told them that it was meowing. That's when they told me we needed to leave. Now I can still hear it to this day, loud and clear. He is in the hallway. My next major encounter with him came my senior year. Band camp was about to start, and every time I would look into my mirror, I would see hands clawing out from under my bed. He would sit on my bed at night, hover over me like some kind of helicopter parent on steroids. He'd grab my shoulders, reach out over my shoulder, and sort of act like he was trying to block my vision. He'd breathe loudly and growl. It got to the point where I had to sleep in my twins' floor for about a month before it stopped. In the meantime, while sleeping on the floor, he would pace about my head while I tried to sleep. I could feel him just stomping until one day, I guess he was sick of just waiting on me to acknowledge him. Normally, he doesn't actually have a human shape, but when he dropped to his hands and knees and just lowered his face to look at me, it wasn't really a face. It was just like this void that consumed all of my vision briefly before I freaked out. After that, it went back to his normal attention seeking habits. Cut to this year, 2 weeks or so ago, I'm in a different room. Again, this room is sort of his hangout, and apparently he's very picky about where I put my bed. Everything was just dandy until I moved my bed from one side of the room to the other. For the first night, it was nice, but by that morning, he was active again. I was laying in my bed about to leave for work when I heard my window unit sort of get quieter, like someone had turned a down notch. Well, that's exactly what had happened. I was the only one in my room, and my air conditioner is always set on high. It was on high when I went to sleep and when I was getting dressed. So tell me, why was it on a lower setting when I walked over to put my shoes on? I promise it wasn't some weird electrical thing, because this one of those window units that you have to turn the knobs on. Later that night, I would end up on my twins' floor again, and I slayed there for a week. Again, I am in bed. I just settle down to sleep. All the nights are off. My phone's charging, it's hard to breathe, and it feels like the darkness is going to crush me. But I didn't think about him getting physical again. I hadn't even connected him to the air conditioning event that morning. Of course, as soon as my coat hangers went flying off my coat rack, I started to worry again. I had to call my twin to come turn on my light. I was so scared. Needless to say, I now have my clothes back on my coat hangers. So if it happens again, I hope at least I won't hear it.